2 hours. That was all it took. While most fans were still celebrating, while sports websites were rushing to update headlines and social media was flooded with highlights from Washington, one message quietly changed the conversation around Alex Eala's biggest victory. It didn't come from a sponsor. It didn't come from a television network. And it didn't come from another active player. It came from Rafael Nadal. For many people, it looked like nothing more than a simple congratulatory post, just a tennis legend applauding one of his former academy players after she captured her first WTA title. But if that's all you saw, you missed the biggest story. Because this wasn't simply about winning a trophy. It was about what happened after the trophy. It was about who spoke, how quickly they spoke, and what those words revealed about Alex Eala's future. Sometimes a championship changes your ranking. Other times, it changes how the entire tennis world sees you. And Washington may have done both. The final itself was already unforgettable. Standing across the net was Jessica Pegula, one of the most experienced and respected players on the WTA Tour. For Eala, this wasn't just another match. It was the biggest final of her professional career, a chance to prove that months of steady improvement were leading somewhere special. The opening set, however, didn't go according to plan. Pegula's experience showed early. She dictated rallies, absorbed pressure with remarkable composure, and forced Eala into difficult positions. The American claimed the first set, leaving many wondering whether the occasion had become just a little too big for the young Filipina. Then, everything stopped. Dark clouds rolled over Washington. Rain poured across the stadium. Officials suspended play. Instead of finishing that evening, both players were forced to wait until the following day. Most people assume weather delays affect both competitors equally. In reality, they rarely do. A long interruption changes everything. Momentum disappears. Emotions cool. Confidence can either fade or grow stronger overnight. For Alex Eala, those unexpected hours became something much more valuable than a delay. They became an opportunity. When she walked back onto the court the next day, she looked like a completely different player. Her movement was sharper. Her decision-making became more confident. Instead of reacting to Pegula's game, she started dictating it. Every rally carried a new sense of purpose. Point after point, the momentum slowly shifted. Eala captured the second set 6-4. The pressure immediately moved to Pegula's side of the net. And once that happened, there was no turning back. The deciding set wasn't merely a victory, it was domination. Eala raced through it 6-0, producing the kind of fearless tennis that champions are remembered for. Every winner seemed louder than the last. Every fist pump carried months, perhaps years of determination behind it. When match point finally arrived, history arrived with it. Alex Eala had officially won her first WTA singles title. For most players, that achievement alone would define the week. But something happened next that elevated the moment even further. Only a short time after the championship celebrations began, Rafael Nadal shared a public message congratulating Eala on her remarkable achievement. At first glance, it looked simple. Congratulations, great week, well deserved. But read it carefully, and another layer begins to appear. Nadal wasn't only celebrating Alex Eala, he also acknowledged the Philippines. And he recognized the entire Rafael Nadal Academy. That combination wasn't accidental. Champions choose their words carefully, especially someone like Rafael Nadal. Throughout his career, Nadal has never been known for chasing attention on social media. He doesn't react to every tournament result. He doesn't post congratulations every single week. That's exactly why this message carried so much weight. When someone who has won virtually everything in tennis takes time to publicly recognize a young player, people notice, fans notice, journalists notice, tournament organizers notice, sponsors notice. The tennis world pays attention. But here's the question very few people are asking. Why Alex Eala? Why has Nadal repeatedly chosen to publicly celebrate her progress when hundreds of talented players have trained at his academy over the years? The answer has very little to do with one tournament, and everything to do with a journey that began years before anyone imagined Alex Eala lifting a WTA trophy. When Eala left the Philippines at a young age to continue her development in Spain, she wasn't following a path already traveled by generations of Filipino tennis stars. She was creating one. Every young athlete who moves across the world carries enormous expectation. A new country, a different language, different coaches, different training methods, friends and family thousands of miles away. Most promising juniors never successfully make that transition. Many disappear long before reaching the professional stage. Others spend years fighting injuries, confidence issues, or simply the overwhelming difficulty of competing against the best young players in the world every single day. Alex Eala stayed the course. Year after year, she quietly developed her game. She learned how to compete against stronger opponents. She improved physically. She matured mentally. Most importantly, she learned patience, because tennis rarely rewards talent overnight. It rewards consistency. The players who survive are usually the ones willing to improve long before anyone else notices. That may be exactly what Rafael Nadal has been watching all along. People often associate greatness with spectacular victory, but coaches see something different. They notice discipline, preparation, professional habit, the willingness to improve after losses, the ability to remain humble after victories. Those qualities don't appear in highlight videos, yet they're often what separates future champions from talented prospects. Perhaps that's why Nadal's message resonated far beyond Washington. It wasn't simply applause for one incredible week. It felt like recognition of years of unseen work finally paying off. And that's an important distinction, because winning one title can happen. Building a championship mindset takes much longer. Alex Eala didn't suddenly become a better player overnight. Washington simply allowed the rest of the world to catch up to what those closest to her may have already known. The trophy wasn't the beginning of the story. It was evidence that the story had been unfolding for years. And if that's true, then Washington might not represent the peak of Alex Eala's rise. It may simply be the moment the rest of the tennis world finally realized that her biggest chapters are only just beginning. Most breakthrough stories end with the trophy. Alex Eala's story doesn't. In many ways, that's where the truly fascinating chapter begins, because a championship proves you can win once. The real challenge is convincing the tennis world that you can keep doing it. And that's exactly where Rafael Nadal's public support becomes more significant than many people realize. Think about it for a moment. Every year, thousands of young players train at elite tennis academies around the world. They work with world-class coaches, practice alongside future professionals, and dream of reaching the biggest stages in the sport. Only a tiny percentage ever make it. An even smaller group wins WTA title. But becoming successful isn't the same as becoming a symbol. Alex Eala is gradually becoming something much bigger than another successful academy graduate. She's becoming proof that the system works. That's an enormous difference. When Rafael Nadal opened his academy in Mallorca, the vision extended far beyond building another training center. The goal was to create an environment where young athletes could develop not only elite tennis skills, but also the mindset required to survive professional competition. Winning matches was important. Building complete professionals mattered even more. That kind of philosophy sounds inspiring on paper, but eventually, every academy faces the same question. Where are the results? Facilities can be impressive, coaches can be experienced, training methods can be innovative. None of it truly matters unless players eventually succeed on the biggest stage. For years, the academy produced promising juniors and talented professionals. But every elite institution eventually needs a player whose success becomes impossible to ignore. Someone who represents everything the program claims to teach. Alex Eala is quickly becoming that player. Every major victory she earns reflects positively on years of work completed behind the scenes. Every ranking milestone strengthens the academy's reputation. Every televised match introduces millions of viewers to the place where her professional journey truly accelerates. That explains why Nadal's Washington message wasn't focused solely on Alex herself. He also congratulated the entire academy. Those words carried meaning, because championships are rarely individual achievements. Behind every title stands an entire team. Coaches, fitness trainers, physiotherapists, nutrition experts, mental preparation, countless practice sessions that nobody outside the sport ever sees. Those invisible hours finally became visible through one unforgettable week in Washington. But here's where the story becomes even more interesting. This wasn't the first time Rafael Nadal publicly celebrated Alex Eala. Fans with good memories immediately noticed something familiar. Months earlier, During her stunning run at the Miami Open, Eala shocked the tennis world by defeating some of the biggest names in the tournament. Many casual fans were hearing her name for the very first time. For established stars, unexpected defeats happen. For rising players, breakthrough victories can completely change public perception. Eala suddenly found herself on sports broadcasts around the world. Her confidence soared, her ranking climbed, and once again, Rafael Nadal publicly acknowledged her achievement. One message after Miami, another after Washington, separated by different tournaments, different circumstances, different stages of her career, yet connected by one clear pattern. That consistency matters, because anyone can celebrate a champion after they lift a trophy. Recognizing someone before the entire world fully believes in them is different. It suggests genuine confidence, not temporary excitement. And confidence from someone like Rafael Nadal carries extraordinary weight. Players respect it, coaches recognize it, media organizations notice it, young athletes dream of receiving it. After all, Nadal spent decades building one of the greatest careers tennis has ever witnessed. He understands what future champions look like long before rankings confirm it. He's competed against multiple generations of elite players. He's practiced with rising stars before they became household names. He's watched talent succeed. He's also watched talent disappear. Experience like that creates an eye for potential that statistics alone can never measure, which raises an important question. What exactly does Nadal see in Alex Eala? Is it her aggressive left-handed game? Her calm attitude under pressure? Her willingness to adapt during difficult matches? Or perhaps it's something much harder to quantify. Resilience. Washington offered a perfect example. Many players lose the opening set of a final and never recover. Others struggle after long weather delays because rhythm disappears. Eala responded differently. Instead of becoming frustrated, she became stronger. Instead of forcing risky shots, she trusted her process. Instead of allowing the moment to overwhelm her, she gradually took control of it. Those aren't just technical improvements, they're mental ones. And mental strength is often what separates very good players from great champions. Here's something else worth considering. Alex Eala isn't carrying expectations for herself alone. Every tournament she enters now attracts increasing attention from fans back home in the Philippines. Young players watch her. Children wear her name on shirts. Families stay awake late into the night to follow her matches. With every victory, those expectations grow heavier. That kind of pressure can easily overwhelm athletes. Yet Eala continues moving forward with remarkable composure. Perhaps that's another reason Nadal continues showing his support, because he understands pressure better than almost anyone. He knows what it's like to carry the hopes of an entire nation. He knows what it means to perform while millions expect greatness every single time you step onto the court. Very few people understand that burden. Nadal does, and maybe that's why his encouragement feels different from everyone else's. It doesn't sound like praise offered out of politeness. It sounds like recognition from someone who understands exactly how difficult this journey truly is. But here's where this story takes another fascinating turn, because public recognition doesn't only boost confidence, it changes opportunity. And that's where Alex Eala's career could be entering an entirely new phase. Opportunity. That's the word that could define everything that happens next. Because in modern tennis, winning matches is only part of the equation. The other part is visibility. The more people know your name, the more opportunities begin to appear. Tournament invitations, major sponsorships, global interviews, prime television coverage, feature stories, commercial partnerships. Every breakthrough creates another door waiting to be opened. And Alex Eala has never been closer to walking through all of them. For years, she was known mainly inside dedicated tennis circles. Coaches knew her potential, scouts followed her progress, hardcore fans recognized her junior success. But outside those groups, her name was still unfamiliar. Washington changed that. Now, people who had never watched a single Alex Eala match suddenly wanted to know more. Who is she? Where did she come from? How did a young Filipina defeat one of the strongest fields on the tour? Those questions matter, because attention creates momentum, and momentum, when matched with consistent performances, can completely transform a professional career. That's why Rafael Nadal's public congratulations carried value far beyond social media. His words instantly reached millions of tennis fans across the world. world. People who trusted Nadal's opinion suddenly became curious about Alex Eala. Some searched for her highlights, others watched interviews. Many began following her career for the very first time. You simply can't buy that kind of credibility. It has to be earned, and Eala earned it. But here's something that deserves even more attention. The Washington title wasn't an isolated success. It was another step in a season that has steadily pushed her toward the sport's elite. Each tournament has added another layer of confidence. Each victory has reinforced the belief that she belongs on the biggest stages. More importantly, she's no longer playing like someone hoping to upset higher-ranked opponents. She's playing like someone who expects to win. That's a massive psychological shift. The best players don't step onto the court wondering if they can compete. They step onto the court believing they belong. Alex Eala is beginning to carry herself with that same confidence. And confidence changes everything. It affects shot selection, decision-making, body language, the ability to recover after losing difficult points. Champions rarely avoid pressure. They simply learn how to perform while carrying it. Eala appears to be developing that exact quality. But before we start talking about Grand Slam titles or world #1 ranking, it's worth remembering an important truth. Tennis is brutally unforgiving. One great tournament doesn't guarantee another. Momentum can disappear. Injuries happen. Draws become more difficult. Opponents study your strengths and weaknesses. The higher you climb, the harder every victory becomes. That's why the next chapter of Alex Eala's career may be even more challenging than the journey that brought her here. Now the expectations are different. She's no longer the unknown underdog surprising everyone. She's becoming one of the players others prepare specifically to beat. That changes the pressure completely. But if there's one reason for optimism, it's this. Nothing about her rise feels accidental. This hasn't been built on one lucky draw, one extraordinary week, or one unforgettable upset. It's been built through gradual improvement, month after month, tournament after tournament. That's usually how lasting success is created. And perhaps that's exactly what Rafael Nadal recognized long before much of the tennis world did. He wasn't simply reacting to a champion lifting a trophy. He was acknowledging years of commitment finally producing visible results. That's an important distinction, because trophies eventually collect dust. Habits don't. Discipline doesn't. Character doesn't. Those qualities continue producing opportunities long after one celebration ends. Which brings us back to the beginning. Why did Nadal respond so quickly? Why has he publicly supported Alex Eala at multiple defining moments in her career? Only he knows the complete answer. But the pattern speaks for itself. Great champions don't invest their reputation lightly. When they repeatedly recognize the same young player, it's usually because they believe the journey is far from over. And maybe that's the biggest takeaway from this entire story. Washington wasn't the finish line. It wasn't the moment Alex Eala completed her dream. It may have been the moment a much bigger dream truly began. The first WTA title will always hold a special place in her career. No one can ever take that away. But history has a funny way of treating first. Sometimes they're remembered as the greatest achievement. Other times, they're remembered simply as the beginning. Years from now, fans may look back at that storm-delayed final in Washington and realize they weren't just watching a young player win her first trophy. They were witnessing the moment an emerging star announced herself to the world. And perhaps that's why Rafael Nadal's message resonated so deeply. Not because it celebrated what Alex Eala had already accomplished, but because it quietly hinted at what she might accomplish next. The tennis world has officially taken notice. The expectations have never been higher. The spotlight has never been brighter. Now comes the hardest part. Proving that Washington wasn't the destination, it was only the first chapter of a career that could inspire an entire generation.